Good morning, Trainiacs. I am what you would call stoked, psyched, pumped up about the recent FTP test that I did last week. Things are on the up and up. So I did an FTP test probably about 3-4 months ago in October, November. Didn't go great, like it was aggressively average. And then I figured last week, you know what? Things have been kind of trending in the right direction. Been feeling healthier, been able to execute decent workouts with decent power. Let's see how we end up doing with a new FTP test. And it went well. I got up to 275 watt FTP, which is pretty close to my all-time best indoor FTP. Now the plan is, because this is not a joke, we are in a polar vortex in Winnipeg. That means right now at the moment, it's I believe minus 46 with the wind chill Celsius, which is minus 50 Fahrenheit. Just see you don't go outside. Now it's also what we call on our team training app, strength and speed season. This is like getting us ready to be in race season, even though we don't know if there's gonna be any races. Might as well try to build up that power so that we can then later in the season refine that power into really good sustained race efforts. So I'm just doing a little 1 hour, 45-minute spin right now, but I wanna share how to design workouts and how to progress workouts over the course of, let's call it an 8-week FTP building process, so that you can basically guarantee that over the course of 8 weeks coming into the race season that you're building up that FTP. Now, as I've said before, your FTP, your functional threshold power, the maximum amount of power that you can theoretically hold for 60 minutes, is not the be-all, end-all for racing. But it's a really good way just to design workouts to end up improving your top-end power. But what we'll get into is like actually giving you the exact workouts that you can do over the course of the next 8 weeks leading into your race season. I've been watching a lot of golf videos on the trainer here. I am gonna be so good at golf just by osmosis by the time golf season rolls around. That's how it works, right? Let's plan out this FTP building plan with regards to how a week is going to look, how the workouts are going to look, and how to progress it throughout the course of the 8-week period. So what I've done is I've laid out a week, and what I've talked about in my Triathlon Bike Foundations book is that you can improve and train for a triathlon with just 2 workouts a week, one intense ride and one long ride. Now that is in the context of doing a triathlon where you have to fit in running, you have to fit in strength, you have to fit in swimming. Now if we're just taking a back seat with everything besides cycling, what I like to do is step that amount of rides up to 4 times a week. That's where you really start making improvements. So what I'm going to put in here is I'm going to put in 4 rides throughout the week. And that is going to really like almost supercharge the ability to make progress, because you're not going any more than a day without actually doing a ride. So it's keeping that muscle memory fresh. Also, you'll notice that I indicated strength here. Now, you've heard me talk a lot about how strength is really key to overall endurance training. Well, this study here is a really good example of why. It's called The Effects of Resistance Training on Road Cycling Performance Among Highly Trained Cyclists, a Systematic Review. What the gist of it is that if you took a highly trained cyclist and you just added strength training in, it wasn't quite clear if that helped their performance. But if you actually substituted some of their cycling with strength training, it was clear that it did improve their performance. And the theory is that that additional strength training without an offset in reducing the cycling actually creates more fatigue than the athletes could handle. So what this is actually telling us is A, strength training is important, but B, this study actually showed that you could train less in cycling and actually improve your performance by substituting cycling for some strength. So in our case, me wanting to focus on strength and mobility a whole lot right now, I am going to include, we're going to do 3 dedicated strength sessions because I'm already doing yoga every single day and a lot of mobility. So I don't want to really load up too much on this. What I want to actually do is space them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to space them evenly throughout the week. So that means that I am going to do my first ride on Tuesday. I'm going to do my second ride on Thursday. I'm going to do my third ride on Saturday. And then I'm going to do my next ride on Sunday. And why I'm going to do the Saturday, Sunday back to back as opposed to another time is because I want to have longer workouts grouped together to build that endurance. So what should all of these workouts be? Well, I know as a default, I am going to do the Team Trainiac group ride on Zwift. This is open to all. You can come join. We tend to do it Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. Central Time. I lead it. You can ask questions and I tell bad dad jokes in that. So that's going to be a ride that I'm definitely going to do. This is going to be about a 30-minute ride typically, and it's going to be slightly intense. But that's not a ton of intensity for increasing your FTP. To build up for more intensity, I'm going to add another longer intense ride here on Tuesday. So between those two things, I'm going to probably end up getting somewhere between about 20 and 40 minutes at high power. Now, ride number 3. This is going to be my long ride. And it's important to keep a long ride with low intensity because you don't want to sacrifice all of your aerobic capabilities for nothing but high power, because what happens then is your fat metabolism isn't getting exercised, and what will happen is at those lower intensity levels, you're going to be burning through a lot of your easy access glycogen stores that you want to save for the higher intensity levels. Then finally, the 4th ride is going to be a strength-based ride. So this is building up the muscular endurance, essentially making our legs stronger, transferring that actual strength from the strength training into biking. And I'll explain what that's going to look like in a second. Then let's put in these strength workouts, and essentially I am at the whim of joining NTK for some kettlebell workouts. We do one on Saturday. I like to group my intense workouts together actually. So I'm not going to take, say, a rest day being Friday and add in intense strength because I'm not doing intensity in swim, bike, run. I actually want to let rest be rest. So if Friday is going to be easy, it's going to be really easy. If Monday is going to be easy, it's going to be really easy. That's why I'm going to actually insert my strength workouts into other key days. And then the 3rd strength workout, this is going to be a heavier, dedicated day with heavier strength, typically really compound movements like deadlifts. So this is how I'm going to break out the week. On Monday and Friday, I'm going to continue to run, and if I'm feeling okay and I need to feel like I need to loosen up, I'm going to also insert a 30-minute swim into these days, or maybe even Wednesday. But that's what my week is going to look like. Then the question is, what are these rides going to look like? Well, we've got this group ride taken care of. That's going to be a little bit intense. This long ride, in my case, when I say a long ride, whatever a long ride is for you, as soon as it starts getting into just feeling long, maybe if you're a new sprint athlete, that is going to be 45 minutes. That's okay. If you're an Ironman athlete and a long ride is actually 4 hours, do 4 hours. In my case, 2 hours, and I'm happy. Then the 2 workouts here that are going to be the question is a longer intense ride and the strength-based ride. How do we do those? Well, I'll build here a Zwift ride that you can actually duplicate for the longer intense ride. What I like to use is zwofactory.com. And we're going to start with the FTP Building Intense, if I can spell. What I'm shooting for here is about 60 minutes. I always like to start with a 10-minute easy warm-up, and I usually start somewhere around 33% of FTP, growing to about 45% of FTP. Then, to turn on the connection between the brain and the legs, I like to do really short bursts that aren't tremendously intense, but with high cadence. So what I typically build for our Team Trainiac athletes is a 10-second surge at 100% of your FTP with a 50-second rest in between. Now, we're gonna do the easy section of the 50 seconds between at about 40% of FTP. Now, the thing that I build in here is that we set the cadence for those 10-second faster bursts to 105 RPM. It's that quick RPM that's going to turn on the connection between the brain and the legs. So then comes the intervals. This is what's really going to increase the FTP. What I'm looking to do here is I'm looking to accumulate enough intensity and time at that intensity that it's more than 20 minutes. So this is more than the theoretical FTP 20-minute test at a power that is higher than our FTP. And what this is going to do is, adding in the rest, we are going to then start adapting to being at an FTP that is higher than our FTP. It's going to pull our FTP up. So what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to do 8 repeats of 1 minute at 105% of FTP, and then 1 minute rest at 40% of FTP. For key intervals like this, you do whatever cadence is most comfortable to you, so I'm not going to set the cadence on this. And a 1-to-1 ratio is usually pretty easy to actually absorb. So then we are going to do a 3-minute easy spin to recover from that. And then I'm just going to repeat that. So I'm going to add that once. I'm going to add the recovery. I'm going to add that again. And then I'm going to add a cool down of, we'll just do 3 minutes. I'm not a big believer in big, massive cool downs. So with that, we've got an hour and 12-minute ride. Now, how do you adjust this as you go? You can upload this workout, and I'll show you how in a second, to Zwift, and then as you're progressing, you just increase the bias on the workout. So you are absolutely going to get stronger. Your body just literally has no choice but to figure out how to get faster. What I'll do is I'll save this to my workouts. I'll download the ZWO file, and then let's create the strength building workout. So I've deleted everything there. I'm going to change this to the FTP Building Strength Ride. I like to just do a 10-minute gradual build. I'm going to add all of the intervals. It's going to be roughly about an hour long, maybe just a little bit longer. And these are longer, low cadence intervals. So the duration, we're going to do this as 4 minutes. We're then going to do it as 80% of FTP. And because the intensity isn't super intense, we can actually make the rest duration a little bit shorter. So we're gonna make that 2 minutes there. Now I wanna extend this enough so that I get roughly around 40 minutes or so of intensity here. So I've got 9 minutes here already. I'm gonna increase that then to 9 repeats of that. I'm then going to add a cool down, 40 minutes, 40% of FTP down to 33% of FTP. It's going to be a 3-minute cool down. And this is the same sort of thing. You can gradually increase the bias as you go. And then I'm going to set the cadence on this. We're going to go down to 65. That's where leg strength is really good. You can still put out high power and you're really working on leg strength. Save that workout, download the ZWO file. And you might look at this and say, well, geez, these workouts really aren't that interesting, Taren. Workouts, when you have a purpose of something that you are working on, shouldn't be interesting. The idea of constant muscle confusion doesn't quite work the way that you think it does. It's not like you're constantly changing things up and it's going to adapt quicker. You're actually just bouncing around all over the place, and the body then doesn't have any reason to actually get faster. Final thing is that we've got to get these workouts into Zwift, and what we do is we go into our documents. There's going to be a folder there if you have Zwift downloaded onto your laptop. It's called Zwift. You go to Zwift. You go to workouts. There's going to be some weird number there. And then you go and just drag and drop those ZWO files that you created into Zwift. Now, when you end up going into Zwift, you go to the ride type, you go to training, and in your custom workouts, it'll be a drop down here. Those FTP tests are going to be in there. So we've got the FTP Building Intense Ride, we've got the FTP Building Strength Ride, and then it's in there for us to use. And we can repeat that for the first 4 weeks. And then we'll come back here at midway and I'll create 2 new workouts and we'll share that with you then. So Trainiacs, that is the FTP Builder Plan that I'm going to be doing. If you want to see the first video that I did in this step, just to understand why I'm doing this, how I'm thinking about it, why do it at this point in the year, you can go check that video out right there. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. If you aren't following me on Zwift, go check me out. First name is T, last name is Triathlon Taren. And hopefully we ride together on some Thursday morning rides. Later, Trainiacs.